My brother tried to steal my wife, and worse, my mother took his side. But I had a plan. What happened that night left them speechless. My wife Sarah, 31 female, and I, 32 male, have been married for just over 18 months now. We met on a dating app of all places, and honestly, I never thought something real would come out of it. But we hit it off immediately. She was smart, kind, funny, and just easy to talk to. It didn't take long for me to realize she was the one. We dated for 12 months before I proposed, and 4 months after that we tied the knot. Yes, our swift union felt like fate, sealed by a shared dream of a future together, but I don't regret it for a second. Sarah's the best thing that ever happened to me. She's a middle school music teacher, super talented and creative. She's been through a lot in her life, though. Her parents died in a plane crash when she was 22, so she's been on her own ever since. That kind of independence and resilience really drew me to her. She's the type of person who doesn't let life's challenges break her. She just keeps going, no matter how hard it gets. I admired that about her from the start. As for me, my life hasn't exactly been a walk in the park either. My family is complicated, to put it lightly. My mom, Patricia, 57, female, raised me. My older sister, Olivia, 34, female, and my younger brother, Noah, 26, male, all on her own after my dad abandoned us when I was 12. He didn't die or do anything noble like that. He literally just left one day. He said he had a business opportunity overseas, packed a bag, and walked out the door. That was the last we ever saw or heard from him. Mom tried to put on a brave face, but I think it broke her. When she broke, she leaned hard on Noah. Noah was 6 at the time, and Mom treated him like a fragile little prince who needed constant care. She used to say, "He's too young to understand why his dad left. He needs more attention." That more attention never stopped. Olivia and I were left to fend for ourselves, but Noah, oh, he got everything handed to him. If he wanted something, Mom would find a way to make it happen. The newest smartphone, the best clothes, you name it, Noah got it. Meanwhile, I was working part-time by the time I turned 16, just to buy basic textbooks. We once found a hidden letter from Mom to Noah, promising he'd always be her priority, a sting we never voiced. But the truth was, it wasn't funny, it was frustrating. Noah grew up spoiled and entitled, and Mom only made it worse. She babied him through everything. When he dropped out of trade school after one term because he said it wasn't his thing, Mom didn't even bat an eye. She just shrugged and handed him the family car wash to manage. By manage, I mean he barely showed up while Mom ran the business herself. Meanwhile, I worked my butt off to get where I am today. I put myself through college with scholarships and part-time jobs, got a degree in data science, and landed a solid job at a software firm. You'd think Mom would be proud of me for that, right? Nope. To her, I just got lucky with tech or whatever. Noah, on the other hand, was the real success in her eyes because he was running a business. She'd boast about his charm, blind to how it masked manipulation. Despite all that, I still tried to maintain a decent relationship with my family. It wasn't easy, but I figured they were still my family at the end of the day. When Sarah and I got married, she suggested staying close to them. She thought it would be good for us to have a support system nearby, especially since she didn't have any family of her own. I wasn't thrilled about the idea, but I went along with it because it meant a lot to her. We bought a little condo 10 minutes away from Mom's place in Denver. At first, I thought maybe it wouldn't be so bad. Mom seemed to really like Sarah. She kept telling me how lucky I was to have such a sweet, well-mannered wife. Olivia was also great. Her steady presence was a quiet anchor amidst the family chaos. But Noah was another story. Noah had this way of making everything about him. If Sarah complimented something about the car wash, like the new signage Mom had installed, Noah would act like it was his idea, even though everyone knew Mom was the one keeping the place afloat. Mom, of course, encouraged all of this. She'd say things like, "Noah just loves spending time with you two. It's nice to see him getting along with your wife." In hindsight, things seemed fine for a while. Sarah and I were settling into married life, and I was adjusting to having my family so close. I thought I had everything under control. But if there's one thing I've learned, it's that when it comes to my family, things are never as simple as they seem. Looking back now, I feel like I should have caught on sooner. At first it seemed harmless. Noah was being overly friendly to Sarah, but I figured he was just trying to bond with her since she was new to the family. He'd show up at our place randomly with donuts or pastries, saying he just happened to be nearby, or he'd bring over a gadget he thought we might need for the condo, like a power drill or a tape measure, even if we didn't ask for help. He even bought her a pricey bracelet once. It was a little much, but I brushed it off. I mean, he was my brother. Why would I suspect anything weird? Sarah didn't say much about it either, at least not at first. She'd smile and thank him whenever he brought something, but I could tell she wasn't entirely comfortable. She's polite to a fault, always worried about offending people, so I figured she was just being nice. Truthfully, I thought Noah was just socially awkward and trying too hard to be helpful. I even joked with her once that Noah probably needed to learn how to take a hint. The thing is, Noah wasn't just stopping by every now and then, he was doing it a lot. Like several times a week. I once teased Sarah about Noah's visits, saying he'd soon claim a room here, but her uneasy smile hinted at deeper unease. She laughed, but there was something in her eyes that didn't sit right with me. I shrugged it off because once more I thought I was overthinking things. Then came Noah's birthday dinner. Mom made a huge deal out of it like she always does for him. She decorated the house with streamers, baked his favorite pie, and even made a bunch of dishes she knew he liked. It was a typical Noah is the center of the universe event, which was nothing new for our family. Sarah and I went because, well, we couldn't not go. Hoping for a rare moment of family harmony, we attended despite my reservations. The dinner started out fine. We sat around the table, everyone chatting about random stuff. Noah was in his usual smug mood, cracking jokes and making sure the conversation revolved around him. At one point, Mom started talking about how special Noah was, and how he just needed the right person in his life to help him settle down. Then she turned to Sarah and said, "Someone like you, sweetie, you'd be perfect for him." I froze. Sarah looked completely uncomfortable, but before she could respond, Noah chimed in with a grin and said, "Yes, Sarah, you and I would have been perfect together. Too bad James got to you first." The table chuckled, masking the venom in his words, but I felt my stomach twist. I forced a laugh, trying to play it cool, but inside I was pissed. Who says something like that to their brother's wife? I wanted to call him out right then and there, but I didn't want to ruin the birthday. I figured I'd talk to him about it later. On the drive home, Sarah was quiet. I asked her if everything was okay, and she just nodded and said she was tired. I didn't push her, but I couldn't stop replaying the conversation in my head. The way Noah looked at her when he made that comment. His gaze held a possessiveness I'd missed before. I couldn't shake the feeling that there was more going on. A few days later, Sarah finally opened up. She waited until we were sitting on the couch after dinner, just the two of us. She started by saying she didn't want to cause any drama, but she felt like I needed to know what was going on. That's when she told me about the way Noah had been acting around her. Apparently it wasn't just the frequent visits or the random gifts. He was finding excuses to get closer to her, standing too close, brushing against her arm, even trying to hold her hand once when he was thanking her for something. He made comments that were way too personal, like telling her she had the most beautiful smile or that she deserved better than someone who worked so much. Clearly referring to me. She said she'd been trying to brush it off, but after the birthday dinner, it all started to feel too much. She didn't know how to handle it anymore. I asked Sarah why she hadn't told me earlier, and she said she didn't want to create tension in the family. She knew how Mom always sided with Noah, and didn't want to make things worse. Plus, she said she wasn't sure if I'd take it seriously. Her fear of my doubt cut deeper than Noah's actions, a wound I hadn't seen coming. I reassured her that I believed her completely, and that I wasn't going to let this slide. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying everything she told me, along with all the little moments I'd ignored or dismissed. Noah showing up uninvited, finding excuses to talk to Sarah, going out of his way to do things for her. It was all adding up now. This wasn't just Noah being friendly or awkward, this was something else entirely. The next day, I started paying closer attention. I didn't say anything to Noah right away because I wanted to see how he acted when he didn't think I was watching. Sure enough, he showed up at our condo that afternoon with some random excuse about needing to borrow a ladder. He barely acknowledged me and went straight to Sarah, handing her a latte and saying, "I figured you could use a pick-me-up." She looked uncomfortable but thanked him politely. I clenched my jaw, trying not to lose it right there. After he left, I told Sarah I was going to talk to him. She asked me not to, at least not yet. She said she didn't want to escalate things until we had a better plan. I agreed, but it wasn't easy. Every time I saw Noah after that, I wanted to punch him in the face. I hated the way he acted like everything was normal, like he wasn't making my wife uncomfortable every chance he got. At this point, I knew things couldn't keep going like this. Something had to give. But after 10 days of watching him pull the same stunts, I couldn't hold it in anymore. I decided to confront him. I called him over to my condo, making it sound like I needed help with something. When he showed up, I wasted no time. I told him I knew about the way he'd been acting around Sarah. Standing too close, making weird comments, trying to get her alone. At first, he just stared at me like he couldn't believe I'd actually called him out. Then he laughed, full-on laughed, like I just told the funniest joke in the world. "You're being paranoid, man," he said, shaking his head. "Sarah is like a sister to me. I'd never do anything weird. You're just jealous because I get along with her better than you do." That last part hit a nerve, but I held my ground. I told him to knock it off, that his behavior was making Sarah uncomfortable, and if he didn't stop, we were going to have a serious problem. He shrugged, said I was blowing things out of proportion, and left without another word. After that, I felt even worse. Noah didn't take me seriously at all. His dismissal fueled my resolve, a spark for what was to come. I told Sarah about the conversation, and while she appreciated me standing up for her, she wasn't surprised by his reaction. "He's not going to change," she said, and unfortunately she was right. After that confrontation with Noah, I knew things had to change. I couldn't keep pretending everything was fine, and honestly, the way he laughed it off made my blood boil. I'd been holding back, trying to keep things peaceful, but at that point I was done. I knew we couldn't keep living so close to him and Mom. Sarah deserved better than feeling trapped in her own home, and I couldn't keep putting her in situations where she had to deal with Noah's nonsense. That's when the idea of moving came up. The timing was almost eerie. Just as all this was going down, I got a job offer in Seattle. It wasn't something I'd been actively looking for, but an old college buddy who works at the company had mentioned my name to his boss. A week later, I got the call. They wanted someone with my skill set and were offering a decent bump in pay. At first, I wasn't sure if I wanted to uproot everything, but after that birthday dinner and Noah's increasingly creepy behavior, it felt like a sign. Sarah and I talked about it one night. I told her about the offer and how it would mean moving out of state. She immediately looked relieved. "Do you think we can just leave like that?" she asked, her voice a mix of hope and hesitation. I knew what she meant. Mom wasn't exactly going to take the news well, and Noah, well, I didn't even want to imagine his reaction. But I told her, "We don't owe them anything, Sarah. We need to do what's best for us." We spent the next few weeks planning the move. I told work I was accepting the offer, gave my notice at my old job, and started house hunting in Seattle. Sarah was amazing through all of it. She scoured listings, set up virtual tours, and even packed most of our stuff while I handled the work logistics. We didn't tell anyone except Olivia. She'd always been the supportive one in the family, and I trusted her not to spill the beans. When I told Mom we were moving, she acted like I just told her the world was ending. "What do you mean you're moving?" she asked, her voice dripping with disbelief. "What about the family? You're going to leave us. What about Noah? He'll be heartbroken." That last part made me roll my eyes so hard I thought they'd get stuck. "Mom, we need to do what's right for us," I said firmly. "This is a good opportunity for my career, and it's what Sarah and I want." She didn't take it well. She accused me of abandoning the family and said Sarah must have been the one pushing me to leave. Her words revealed a loyalty to Noah that chilled me, a hint of complicity I'd soon confirm. I didn't bother arguing with her. There was no point. Once Mom decided something, it was impossible to change her mind. Noah, thankfully, hadn't caught wind of our plans yet. I wanted to keep it that way. The day we left was bittersweet. Olivia came over to help us load the moving truck, and it hit me that I wouldn't be seeing her as often. She hugged me tight and said, "You're doing the right thing. Don't let anyone make you feel guilty about it." Sarah hugged her too, thanking her for being so supportive. Olivia promised to keep our address a secret, and I believed her. She'd seen enough of Noah's behavior to know why we needed to leave. The drive to Seattle was long, but surprisingly peaceful. Sarah and I talked about all the things we wanted to do once we settled in: explore the city, find new hobbies, maybe even adopt a cat. For the first time in weeks, Sarah seemed genuinely happy. She even joked about decorating the new condo with all the music instruments she'd been collecting. It felt like a fresh start, and I couldn't wait to put all the family drama behind us. We arrived at the new condo late in the evening. It wasn't anything fancy, just a cozy one-bedroom in a quiet neighborhood, but it felt like a palace compared to the stress we'd been living in. The next few days were a blur of unpacking boxes, setting up furniture, and getting to know the area. Sarah took the lead on decorating, and I have to say, she did an amazing job. By the end of the week, it actually felt like home. Sarah started to relax too. She wasn't jumping at every little noise anymore, and she even started sleeping better. Sarah's newfound calm felt like a fragile victory, one I vowed to protect at all costs. I hadn't realized just how much she'd been holding in until that moment. I wrapped my arm around her and promised her that no one would take this piece away from us. But as much as I tried to focus on our new life, I couldn't completely shake the nagging feeling in the back of my mind. Noah. I hadn't told him we were moving, and I hadn't heard from him since we left. Part of me was relieved, but another part of me wondered how long that would last. Mom hadn't called either, which was unusual. I figured she was still stewing about our betrayal. Sarah and I agreed not to let it bother us, though. We were determined to make this move work and build a life for ourselves away from the toxic family dynamics that had been dragging us down. Our resolve was tested sooner than I'd feared, a shadow looming over our escape. I'll update you when Noah finds out about our move, or if anything comes up. Hit update 1% hint. Hey everyone, it's been crazy and I figured it was time for an update. I wish I could say everything's been smooth sailing since our move to Seattle, but unfortunately, that's not the case. Things have taken a turn and I'm struggling to wrap my head around just how far this has gone. So we've been here for a month, and for the most part it felt like a fresh start. I thought maybe, just maybe, we'd finally left all that drama behind. Boy, was I wrong. It started a week ago when Sarah noticed someone outside. She was in the living room unpacking some decor when she saw Noah pacing in front of our condo. At first she thought maybe it was just someone who looked like him. It didn't make sense for him to know where we lived. But then he rang the doorbell over and over. He had a bouquet of tulips in his hand and was calling out, "Sarah, I just want to talk." When she told me, I couldn't believe it. I mean, how did he even find us? We didn't tell him or Mom where we moved. The only person who knew was Olivia, and I trusted her completely. But there he was, standing outside our condo like some kind of creepy stalker. I told Sarah to stay put and not open the door while I called the police. By the time they arrived, Noah was gone. They said there wasn't much they could do unless he came back or made a direct threat, which was frustrating but not surprising. Later that night, I called Olivia to figure out how the hell Noah had found us. At first, she was confused, swearing up and down that she hadn't told anyone. But as we kept talking, she hesitated. Then she broke down and told me the truth. Noah had stolen a copy of our condo key from her while helping us pack. He'd also found a notebook Sarah left behind, her private thoughts, now his twisted guide. Olivia was absolutely mortified. She apologized over and over, saying she didn't realize what he'd done until now. She felt guilty for not keeping a closer eye on him, but honestly, I couldn't blame her. This was entirely on Noah. He crossed the line, and I was furious. But Olivier didn't stop there. She also told me some other things that left me sick to my stomach. Apparently, Noah's obsession with Sarah ran even deeper than I'd thought. He'd been secretly taking photos of her during family gatherings, some of which were downright creepy. Olivier said she'd seen pictures of Sarah at our old condo, sitting on the balcony or playing her guitar, completely unaware that Noah was taking them. Worse, he'd been recording her voice during conversations and stitching together long audio files that he'd listened to on repeat. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. This wasn't just harmless flirting or boundary pushing anymore. This was full-blown stalking. How had I let it get this far? I knew Noah had issues, but I never imagined he was capable of something like this. I kept replaying all the times I brushed off his behavior, convincing myself it wasn't a big deal. But now, with everything Olivia had told me, it was clear that Noah was dangerous. I couldn't afford to let my guard down anymore. Sarah was shaken when I told her what Olivia said, but she wasn't surprised. She'd found an old voicemail from Noah confessing his fixation, a secret she'd kept to shield me. She thanked me for taking her seriously and standing up for her, but I could tell this whole thing was wearing on her. She started jumping at every little noise, checking the locks on the doors multiple times before bed. It broke my heart to see her like that. The next day, we found more proof that Noah had been watching us. Sarah was cleaning out the mailbox when she found a letter addressed to her in Noah's handwriting. It was rambling and incoherent, filled with phrases like, "You're the only one who understands me," and "I'll wait forever if I have to." It was creepy as hell, and it confirmed what I already knew. Noah wasn't going to leave us alone. I brought the letter to the police, but again they said their hands were tied unless Noah made a direct threat or showed up again. They suggested filing for a restraining order, which we're looking into, but it's a process. In the meantime, we've installed security cameras around the condo, and I've started documenting everything, every letter, every text, every incident. I want to make sure we have as much evidence as possible if this escalates further. Mom, of course, isn't helping. When I told her what Noah had done, she immediately went into defense mode. "He's just upset," she said. "You shouldn't have moved away without telling him. He doesn't know how to handle it." She even had the nerve to blame Sarah, saying if she hadn't been so nice to him, he wouldn't have gotten the wrong idea. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Nice? Sarah was polite because she didn't want to cause drama, and now Mom was using that as an excuse for Noah's behavior. I told her she needed to wake up and realize that Noah wasn't just being sensitive, he was stalking my wife. Mom hung up on me after that and hasn't called back since. Sarah and I are trying to stay strong, but it's hard. She's taken down all her social media accounts and she barely goes anywhere alone. I've started working from home more often because I don't want to leave her by herself. Every time I leave the condo, I find myself looking over my shoulder, half expecting to see Noah lurking nearby. It's exhausting, and it feels like no matter how far we go, we can't escape him. I don't know what's going to happen next, but one thing is clear. Noah isn't just some overgrown man-child with a crush. He's dangerous, and I'll do whatever it takes to protect Sarah from him. This isn't just family drama anymore, it's a safety issue. I'll keep you all updated as things unfold. We're clinging to our new life, but Noah's shadow looms, a threat we can't yet outrun. Object. Hey everyone, I'm back with another update. I didn't think things could get worse, but Noah has proven me wrong yet again. At this point, it feels like we're living in some kind of bad movie. Except there's no off button. I'm honestly exhausted, and Sarah is barely holding it together. I just need to get this all out, so here we go. The first incident happened about 10 days after my last post. Sarah had started going back to her usual routine, trying to act like everything was normal. She didn't want to feel like a prisoner in her own home, which I completely understood. One morning she went to her favorite music store. It's a small shop about 20 minutes away, and she loves going there to browse and get inspired. She didn't notice anything unusual at first, but as she was leaving, she saw Noah's car parked across the street. At first she thought maybe she was imagining things. She told herself it could have been someone with a similar car, but when she got into her car and started driving, he followed her. He didn't try to hide it either. He stayed just a few car lengths behind her the entire way home. She called me while she was driving, her voice shaking, and said, "I think he's following me." I told her to stay calm, drive straight home, and I'd meet her in the driveway. When she pulled in, Noah's car was nowhere in sight. He must have turned off before she got to the condo, but the damage was already done. Sarah was in tears, shaking so badly she could barely get out of the car. I held her for what felt like forever before helping her inside. She kept saying, "I shouldn't have gone out. I should have stayed home." I tried to tell her this wasn't her fault, that Noah was the one in the wrong, but she wasn't hearing it. We reported the incident to the police, but again, there wasn't much they could do without concrete proof that he was stalking her. They suggested we keep a log of everything and update them if it happened again. I asked about getting a GPS tracker for Sarah's car just in case we needed to prove he was following her. The officer said it was a good idea, so we ordered one that same day. The next incident was even scarier. Sarah had started going to a nearby lake in the mornings to clear her head and get some fresh air. She figured it was safe because it was always busy with cyclists, walkers, and families. One morning she went to sit by the water playing her ukulele when she heard someone call her name. She looked up and there he was, Noah, sitting on a bench not far from her, watching her like he'd been there the whole time. Sarah panicked. She grabbed her stuff and started walking back to her car, but Noah followed her. He didn't say anything, just kept walking a few steps behind her. When she got to her car, she locked the doors and drove off. He didn't try to stop her, but she said the look on his face was enough to haunt her for days. She said he looked calm, like he wasn't even doing anything wrong, like it was totally normal for him to be there. When she got home and told me, I was livid. I couldn't believe he'd found her at the lake. It was like he was keeping tabs on her every move. I went straight to the police station and demanded to know why they couldn't do more. They said they understood my frustration, but reiterated that we needed more evidence to build a stronger case for harassment or stalking. I showed them the GPS tracker data from the first incident and told them about the lake. They said it helped, but we still needed more. At this point, Sarah was too scared to leave the condo alone. She canceled her plans to go back to work, telling her boss she needed more time off. Her boss was incredibly understanding and even offered to have someone screen her mail and phone calls at work if she decided to come back. Sarah was grateful, but I could tell it wasn't enough to ease her anxiety. She started having nightmares, waking up in the middle of the night crying or gasping for air. It's like Noah was everywhere, even when he wasn't physically there. One night, I caught her sitting on the floor in the hallway, just staring at the front door. I asked her what she was doing, and she said, "I'm just making sure it's locked." It broke my heart to see her like this. She was always so strong, so independent, and now she was scared to be in her own home. I promised her I'd do whatever it took to keep her safe, but honestly, I was scared too. Not for myself, but for her. I didn't know what Noah was capable of anymore. We decided to make some changes around the condo to help Sarah feel safer. We got better locks for all the doors and windows, added motion sensor lights outside, and even installed a doorbell camera that alerts us anytime someone comes to the front door. I also set up a system where she could press a button on her phone to trigger an alarm if she ever felt unsafe. It wasn't perfect, but it was better than nothing. Mom, of course, wasn't helping. She called me a few days after the lake incident to tell me I was overreacting. She said Noah was just trying to make things right and that I was blowing things out of proportion. I told her to stay out of it, that she was enabling him and making things worse. She got defensive, saying, "He's my son. I can't just turn my back on him." I wanted to scream at her, but I hung up instead. I couldn't deal with her excuses anymore. Right now, we're just trying to take it one day at a time. Sarah has started therapy to help with her anxiety, and I'm doing my best to be there for her. It's exhausting, but I know we'll get through this. Noah might think he can control us, but he's wrong. We're not going to let him win. I'll update again if anything else happens. Thanks to everyone who's been following this and offering advice. It means more than you know. In update 3%. I'm back with another update, and I honestly don't even know where to start. Everything feels like a nightmare I can't wake up from. I thought things were bad before, but what happened recently took everything to another level. I'm still trying to process it all, so bear with me. It started out like any other evening. We had dinner, watched a little TV, and went to bed around 11 o'clock. As always, we double-checked the locks and made sure the alarm system was armed. I don't know why, but I felt uneasy as we were getting ready for bed. I even joked to Sarah, maybe I'm becoming paranoid because I kept glancing at the front door. She just gave me a small smile and said, better paranoid than careless. I don't know how long we'd been asleep when it happened. I woke up to Sarah screaming, a sound that made my blood run cold. I shot up in bed, disoriented, trying to figure out what was going on. That's when I saw him, Noah. He was sitting in a chair he must have dragged in from the dining room, positioned right next to Sarah's side of the bed. He was holding her hand, whispering something I couldn't make out. The look on her face was pure terror. For a second I thought I was dreaming. How the hell did he get in? The doors were locked, the windows were shut, everything was secure, but there he was, as if none of that mattered. My body moved before my brain could catch up. I jumped out of bed and lunged at him, knocking the chair over and sending him sprawling to the floor. He tried to fight back, but I wasn't holding back this time. I pinned him down and shouted for Sarah to call 911. As I held him there, he kept muttering the same thing over and over. She belongs with me. You don't deserve her. His voice was calm, almost robotic, like he really believed what he was saying. It was one of the creepiest moments of my life. I don't know how long it took for the police to arrive, probably only a few minutes, but it felt like an eternity. When they finally showed up, they pulled Noah off the floor, handcuffed him, and started asking questions. That's when we learned how he got in. He'd been watching us for weeks, figuring out our routines and waiting for the perfect time. He managed to disable the power before he got in, so the alarms didn't go off. The police also found a backpack he brought with him. Inside were rope, zip ties, a bottle of sedative, and this is the part that still makes me sick, a promise ring. He'd also taken a framed photo of Sarah from our living room and had it in the bag like some kind of trophy. The ring bore an inscription, "Forever mine," a chilling vow he'd planned to enforce. The whole thing was beyond disturbing. As they were taking him away, Noah looked me dead in the eye and said, "This isn't over." I don't know if it was meant to scare me or if he actually believed he'd get another chance, but it sent a chill down my spine. Sarah, meanwhile, was sitting on the floor shaking and crying. I've never seen her so scared. It broke my heart. The next few hours were a blur of police reports, questions, and trying to comfort Sarah. She kept asking, how did it get this far? How could he do this? And honestly, I didn't have any answers. I felt like I'd failed her, like I should have done more to protect her. The police assured us that Noah would be held without bail due to the nature of the incident, but that wasn't much comfort in the moment. The aftermath has been a lot. Sarah hasn't been able to sleep since that night. She flinches at every little noise and keeps saying she feels like he's still watching her, even though we know he's in custody. Her therapist has been trying to help, but this kind of trauma doesn't just go away overnight. She's even talked about wanting to move again because she can't stand the thought of staying in this condo after what happened. I don't blame her. Every time I walk into the bedroom, I see that chair lying on the floor and think about how close we came to something far worse. I've also had to deal with Mom, who unsurprisingly is in full denial mode. When I called to tell her what happened, she actually tried to defend Noah. He's not a bad person, she said. He's just confused and needs help. Confused. The guy broke into my condo in the middle of the night with rope and sedative. I told her she needed to wake up and realize that Noah wasn't just her baby boy anymore. He was dangerous. She got upset and accused me of trying to ruin his life. At that point, I hung up. I can't keep wasting my energy on her excuses. We're pressing charges, of course. The police seem to be taking this seriously, especially with all the evidence they found in Noah's bag. They've assured us that he'll face significant jail time, but the thought of him being out there someday still terrifies me. I've also hired a lawyer who specializes in cases like this to make sure everything is handled properly. I want to make sure Noah pays for what he's done, not just to us, but to Sarah specifically. She didn't deserve any of this. Right now, Sarah has started sleeping in the guest room because she can't bring herself to go back into the bedroom. I've been sleeping on the couch nearby so she doesn't feel alone. We're looking into moving again. The idea of starting anew feels daunting, but Sarah's safety is worth any sacrifice. I still can't believe this is my life. 18 months ago, I was just a guy who married the love of his life and wanted to build a future together. Now, I'm dealing with restraining orders, police reports, and a brother who's turned into a full-blown stalker. It's surreal, and not in a good way. In truth, I'll leave it here for now. Thanks to everyone who's been following this and offering support. It's been a lifeline during all of this. I'll update again once we know more about the charges and what's going to happen next. We're holding on, but the fear of Noah's return haunts our every step. To update 4%. Hey everyone, this will probably be my last update. A lot has happened, and honestly, we just want to put this chapter behind us and move on with our lives. I can't thank you all enough for the advice and support. It's meant more than I can say. Noah's case went to court 5 months after the break-in. He was charged with stalking, breaking and entering, and attempted kidnapping. The evidence was overwhelming, especially with the backpack, his recordings of Sarah, and the creepy journal entries they found in his apartment. He pleaded guilty, and the judge sentenced him to 5 years in prison. Honestly, I wish it was longer. But at least he's out of our lives for now. Mom didn't escape this either. During the investigation, it came out that she'd been feeding Noah information about Sarah's routine and encouraging him to win her over. She even knew about his plans. It also came out that Noah had stalked other women before Sarah. Mom had paid them off to stay quiet, thinking marriage would fix him. The court saw it differently. She was charged as an accessory and sentenced to 4 years of probation. She's not allowed any contact with us, which is honestly the best part. As for us, we decided to stay in Seattle, but moved to a new condo across town. Sarah couldn't handle staying in the old place after everything that happened. And I didn't blame her. She's still dealing with the trauma. She cut her hair short and dyed it, saying she didn't want to look like the person Noah had obsessed over. She also started wearing looser clothes, even though it breaks my heart to see her feel like she has to change herself to feel safe. Therapy is helping, and she's slowly starting to regain her confidence. We've cut off all contact with Mom, Noah, and most of the family. Olivia is the only one we still talk to. She's been a rock through all of this and even testified against Mom and Noah in court. The rest of the family, they still think we're overreacting, saying things like, family is family and Noah needs support, not punishment. Their denial blinds them to the truth we've lived through. Life isn't perfect, but it's getting better. Sarah's back at work part-time and we're focusing on rebuilding our lives. I've learned a lot through all this, mainly that blood doesn't mean you owe anyone your peace or safety. We're forging a new path, but the echoes of Noah's obsession linger, a reminder to guard our peace fiercely.